Alright, welcome to Station 2. Station 2 is all about rotation, and we're going to start off by looking at triangle XYZ, and the directions on the paper say to do a 50 degrees counterclockwise rotation around point Z. So point Z is our center of rotation, and that means that when we move it, it's going to stay there, but because we're making a new image, we're going to call it Z prime. Okay? The next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that all of our points are attached to our center of rotation, and on this triangle they are. So we don't have to draw those, we just need to measure them. So I would take my ruler and measure the length from Z to X, and I'm going to say from X, line segment XZ equals 5.1 centimeters. And then I need to measure the distance from Y to Z. So I would say the line segment YZ is 4.8 centimeters. So I have my lengths. Now I'm going to take my protractor and I'm going to measure my angles. Now because Z is my center of rotation, the center of my protractor stays on Z. And because I'm going counterclockwise, I'm going to put it on the left side of the line. And because X is over here, on this part of the protractor, that is where I start with 0. And I'm going to measure 50 degrees. So I'm going to start here. This is 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And I make my angle mark on the outside of the protractor. Okay? So once I have my angle mark, then I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to line it up with Z and my angle mark, just like that. So it's lined up with Z and my angle mark. And we're going to measure what we had before, which was 5.1. So at 5.1, which happens to be way out here, I'm going to put a point. And that point is where I rotated X. So this point is now going to be X prime. So then we're going to go and we're going to rotate Y. So we're going to take our protractor, we're going to put the center of our protractor on our center of rotation and lined up with Y, because Y is up here. We start at 0 here, so 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So on the outside of our protractor we're going to measure 50, just like that. We're going to take our ruler, line it up with our center of rotation and our angle mark, and this time our measurement was 4.8, so at 4.8 we're going to put a mark, a dot, right here, and because we moved Y this time, this point is going to be Y prime. You've got to remember to include your labels. Now we only had to move X and Y because Z stayed, so now we just connect those 3 points. So Y and X, Z and X, Z and Y. So that is a rotation of 50 degrees around point Z. Now we're going to look at rotating a shape, X, Y, and Z, around point R, and it's 45 degrees counterclockwise. So the first thing we need to do when we have problems like this is we need to connect our center of rotation to each point. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to connect R to X, and then I'm going to measure it. And it looks like 3.3, so XR equals 3.3 centimeters. Move my paper and I'm going to connect Y to R, and it looks like this line is 5.4 centimeters, so YR 5.4 centimeters. And then the last one, we got to connect Z to R. Then we're going to measure. So the length there looks to me like 3.9 centimeters, so Z R 3.9 centimeters. So now we have our links from each point to our center of rotation. Now we have to use our protractor and we have to mark 45 degrees. So our center of rotation and the center of our protractor line up just like this, and we're going counterclockwise, so we need to put it on the left, and we're going to mark 45 degrees. So because X is up here, that's where we start with 0, so 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so there's 45. We mark on the outside of our protractor, and we have our angle mark. Then we come back in with our ruler, we line our ruler up with R and our angle mark, just like that. Everybody see that it's lined up with R and our angle mark. And then we're going to look at our length, and it was 3.3. So at 3.3, we're going to put a point, and we're going to label that X prime because we moved X. Then we're going to do the same thing with Y. We're going to go up, we're going to put our center of our protractor on our center of rotation and line it up with Y. And because Y is over here, this is 0, so 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 5. So up here I'm going to make my angle mark, that's 45 degrees. Then I'm going to take my ruler again, and for Y it was 5.4, so I'm going to line up my ruler with my center of rotation and my angle mark. And at 5.4, I'm going to put a point, and that point is going to be Y prime. And then we're going to do the same thing for Z. So because we're moving it counterclockwise, if we put the center of rotation closest to us, we're going to put our protractor on the left side, just like this. Okay? Left side of the line, because we're going counterclockwise, and we're going to measure 45 degrees, and because Z is up here, that's 0, so 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 5, and it happens to be right here on the line we drew for Y. So then I'm going to take my ruler, and for Z we're going to do 3.9 centimeters, so I'm going to line up R with Y, which is my angle mark, and at 3.9 centimeters I'm going to put a point, and I'm going to label that Z prime. Now, our original figure was a triangle connecting X, Y, and Z. So our new figure will be a triangle connecting X prime to Y prime to Z prime. So all I'm going to do is take my ruler and connect my new points together. So there's a rotation of 45 degrees. Because it's 45 degrees, parts of them do overlap, and that is okay if they overlap, because it is a 45-degree rotation.